Personally, here's where I think they didn't do a very good job, and that was with Kelsey Mitchell, who's an unrestricted free agent, because Kelsey Mitchell had a hell of a season this season, and I don't think she got the credit that she deserved.
Well, Kelsey Mitchell finally had enough. After months of silence, polite press lines, and media noise, the Indiana Fever veteran just went nuclear, dropping the kind of truth that scorched the entire WNBA conversation about Caitlin Clark. Well, Kelsey Mitchell decided it was time to stop the nonsense and put respect back where it belongs.
Speaking of moments, you've been, as you mentioned, your career with the Fever. First six, though, were tough, obviously. They weren't as easy. You guys have made the playoffs the last two. What's been the big turnaround? How have you viewed the way the team has grown organically?
This wasn't a casual remark or a fluffy endorsement. No, Mitchell's words carried weight because of who she is and what she represents. When she speaks, it isn't just another soundbite. It's survival talking. She's lived through the worst years of Indiana basketball. She's carried lineups so thin they felt like G League experiments. She's endured coaching carousels, blowouts, and years of irrelevance. And in the middle of all that pain, she kept showing up, kept putting points on the board, and kept dragging this franchise forward. Kelsey Mitchell isn't just a player, she's one of Indiana's backbone. Do you stand with Kelsey? Let us know down in the comments below.
So, and then you bring in Caitlin, who changed the world, changed the dynamic of basketball. And as a friend and as a player, you grow to appreciate her because, certain doors have opened because she's come to the Fever, and you have to respect that. And I love the teammate and person in her because she's accepted it with so much grace and even welcomed us with open arms to, make this thing happen. So I think it just took a lot of big pieces to make, what it is now.
That's why this interview hits so hard, because when you ask Mitchell about Caitlin Clark, you don't get a rehearsed cookie-cutter answer. You don't get some hollow, she's a great teammate line. You get reality raw direct, and in this case, it was a reality check. Mitchell didn't just praise Caitlin Clark. She validated what so many fans already know, but what bitter voices refuse to admit. Caitlin Clark has changed the entire basketball ecosystem. Period. She's not just a star. She's not just another scorer. She's a cultural shift wrapped in a jersey. And coming from Kelsey Mitchell, the one player who could have easily resented all the hype, that's monumental.
Changed the world in so many ways. You've done it with so much grace. And I'm so happy to take the floor with you, to be a part of this experience. I want to tell you to give yourself some grace, kid. You've done a lot of things that not a lot of people can do. And from me to you, I'm always going to be a fan. I'm always going to be in your corner. I'm always going to be in your backcourt.
Mitchell looked into the camera and essentially said, without Caitlin, none of this happens. The sold-out arenas, the prime-time coverage, the global spotlight. That's Clark. And instead of fighting it, Mitchell embraced it. No jealousy, no snide digs, just respect. And here's the part that stings for people like Swoopes. It wasn't empty praise. It was respect built on balance. Because while Mitchell credited Caitlin with transforming the league, she also reminded everyone subtly but firmly that before Clark arrived, she was the one keeping the Fever alive.
But you've been with Indiana through the thick and thin. You've been with them since, like we was talking, like we about to go get our rhythm on Indiana. You've been there, you stuck through until now being in the semifinals. What does that feel like? And for people watching, like girls, boys, if they athletes, not athletes, what does it feel like to stick through something and now see it come into full fold?
Think about it. This is the same Kelsey Mitchell who carried Indiana through 5 win seasons, who kept showing up while jealous veterans now sitting in the media chair couldn't resist throwing shade at Clark. Mitchell didn't need to tear anyone down. She just told the truth. She laid out a timeline. She kept the lights on. Caitlin brought the electricity. And together they're building something unstoppable. And that's exactly why this moment is so powerful. Sheryl Swoopes, for all her accomplishments, has made it her personal crusade to undermine Caitlin Clark's rise. She's questioned her stats, doubted her accolades, and even suggested her hype is manufactured. But Kelsey Mitchell's words cut through all of that. She didn't just defend her teammate, she defended the future of the WNBA itself. She reminded everyone that Clark isn't here to erase history. She's here to expand it. You guys have made the playoffs the last 2. What's been the big turnaround? How have you viewed the way the team has grown organically?
You guys have made the playoffs the last 2. What's been the big turnaround? How have you viewed the way the team has grown organically?
Oh, man, I think a big shout out to the organization taking time to rebuild. I think our draft picks ended up coming big. Lexi Hall was a big draft pick, and then you get Kaylin, and then you get AB. And so you culminate that together with, my experience and having to, go through a couple things before they got there. I think it was just like a match made in heaven, really, because I was, still at a young age to really, vibe and get to know these players for who they were. And then you bring in Kaylin, who changed the world, changed the dynamic of basketball. And as a friend and as a player, you grow to appreciate her because, certain doors have opened because she's come to the Fever, and you have to respect that.
Think about it. This is the same Kelsey Mitchell who carried Indiana through 5 win seasons, who kept showing up while jealous veterans now sitting in the media chair couldn't resist throwing shade at Clark. Mitchell didn't need to tear anyone down. She just told the truth. She laid out a timeline. She kept the lights on. Caitlin brought the electricity, and together they're building something unstoppable. And that's exactly why this moment is so powerful. Sheryl Swoopes, for all her accomplishments, has made it her personal crusade to undermine Caitlin Clark's rise. She's questioned her stats, doubted her accolades, and even suggested her hype is manufactured. But Kelsey Mitchell's words cut through all of that. She didn't just defend her teammate, she defended the future of the WNBA itself. She reminded everyone that Clark isn't here to erase history. She's here to expand it. You guys have made the playoffs the last 2. What's been the big turnaround? How have you viewed the way the team has grown organically?
Now, you were an MVP finalist this year with our own Chiney Ogwumike even saying that you had the best season of any guard this year in the league. What has it been like to get that kind of recognition and get your flowers?
Oh, I appreciate it. I've been to a lot throughout the course of my career with Indiana Fever. It's been like my longest.
And now you get to see us do that now, like a couple years later. Kelsey Mitchell's loyalty to Indiana has never been about the spotlight. For years, it was thankless, buried under the rubble of losing seasons and constant rebuilding promises. But in 2025, that loyalty is finally paying dividends, not just in box scores, but in something much bigger: legacy. Her recent comments didn't just acknowledge Caitlin Clark's impact, they elevated it while simultaneously reaffirming her own. That's the genius of Mitchell's words. She didn't make it a contest between old and new, between veteran and newcomer. She reminded the world that leadership doesn't fear competition. It welcomes it, embraces it, and uses it as fuel. And that's why fans across the league are still dissecting what she said. Not because it was flashy or viral clickbait, not because it was some PR stunt, but because it was real. And that reality check landed like a thunderclap across a league too often mired in jealousy, bitterness, and cheap shots. For the past year, we've seen the narrative hijacked by players like Ja Wilson throwing side-eye and Sheryl Swoopes, once a legend of the game, spending more time downplaying Caitlin Clark than celebrating the sport's growth. Mitchell just flipped that script. She proved you can honor a generational star while standing tall in your own legacy. She proved you can tell the truth without bitterness. And in doing so, she gave the WNBA the authenticity it's been starving for.
Oh man, it's an unbelievable experience. It's a moment that I don't want to, take for granted. I want to cherish it as much as I possibly can. Like I said, I don't want to use this moment to as a moment to not grow. And so hopefully the mental preparation that I've been through and the things I've been through can kind of help me get through these moments. And then just, loving basketball for what it is and just, loving the game and having fun with it.
But to really understand why Mitchell's words hit so hard, you need to rewind the tape. Go back to the years when Lexi Hull first joined the Fever, when Indiana was still a punchline, a league doormat. Wins were rarities, losses were routine, and the franchise was buried in irrelevance. During those years, Mitchell was the one sitting at the post-game podium, smiling through the pain, spinning cliches about building blocks after yet another blowout loss. She wasn't just playing basketball. She was carrying a franchise on her shoulders like a lone survivor dragging a broken body through the desert. Then came Aaliyah Boston, the first true ray of hope, a post anchor with superstar potential. Boston's arrival was like planting a flag in barren land. Finally, there was something to build on. And then came Caitlin Clark, a supernova who didn't just transform Indiana. She bent the entire sports media universe to her will. With her, the Fever became front-page news. Suddenly, a franchise no one wanted to watch was selling out arenas, dominating ratings, and forcing the entire sports world to pay attention. Through it all, Mitchell didn't pout. She didn't run. She didn't act threatened. She embraced the reinforcements. That's why her words about Clark carry more gravity than anyone else's. She has lived both versions of the Fever, the irrelevance and the resurrection,
I love the teammate and person in her because she's accepted it with so much grace and even welcomed us with open arms to, make this thing happen. So I think it just took a lot of big pieces to make, what it is now.
What has it been like? Because certainly the world has been focused on her. But What has it been like as a teammate? Because sometimes people are stepping to her, but I feel like you guys are stepping right back in those situations.
I think it's just it's competitive nature, man. You know how it goes. It's just competitive nature. I think that we want to fight to, love on our team and be who we are and respect the game at the same time. So I think it's a lot of just competitive nature at the end of the day.
And she knows which one sells tickets and changes culture. But Mitchell's statement went deeper than basketball analysis. It wasn't just professional acknowledgement. It was personal. She didn't just call Clark a teammate. She called her a friend. Outsiders might shrug at that word, but in professional sports where egos clash and locker rooms fracture, friend is not casual. It's rare. It's a signal that Clark hasn't just integrated into this team. She's healed it. According to Mitchell, Clark didn't arrive to hoard spotlight. She arrived to create an orbit where everyone thrives. That distinction is massive. We've all seen super teams collapse in other leagues. Too many egos, not enough chemistry, and the whole thing implodes under its own hype. But Clark has avoided that trap. She doesn't hog the ball or demand all the glory. She acts like the sun, radiating light so everyone else shines brighter. And Mitchell's resurgence proves it. Since Clark's arrival, Mitchell's profile has exploded. She's more efficient, scoring bigger in clutch moments, and finally getting the national recognition she always deserved but never received. Without Clark, Mitchell might have remained one of the league's best-kept secrets. With her, she's a household name. And the best part, Mitchell doesn't resent it. She respects.
To game one, I saw Caitlin posted she was fined $200 by the league for stepping on the court. So was there like a locker room pool for her there, or did she take care of that herself?
Man. I'm pretty sure somebody took care of it for her. I love it because as much people don't know this about Caitlin, but she has an unbelievable funny sense of humor. And so I think the tweet was the tweet, but you just have to know CC to know that it's just nothing but love coming from that kid, and her energy and her effort to just kind of support our team is just her way of doing it.
She even shared a perfect example. Caitlin's infamous fine tweet. Remember when Clark joked about a league fine on social media? The pundits pounced, twisting it into arrogance, immaturity, or entitlement. But inside the Fever locker room, it was comedy gold. Teammates laughed, loved it, and saw it as another glimpse of Clark's lightheartedness that the public rarely gets to see. Mitchell made it clear. Outsiders can misinterpret all they want, but inside the team, that moment wasn't a controversy. It was chemistry. It was Clark being Clark. And that's the sign of a healthy culture. If there was resentment toward her, that tweet would have sparked drama. Instead, it became proof that the Fever are united behind their star, and that unity has produced something terrifying for the rest of the WNBA. Indiana's Fab Four: Mitchell, Clark, Boston, and Hull. Together, they're not just a playoff team. They're a blueprint for a dynasty. And Mitchell is all in. She even hinted she'd take less money to keep the core intact. In today's sports landscape where chasing max contracts is the norm, that's a radical statement. It shows Mitchell understands the bigger picture. Indiana has something historic on its hands, and she's willing to sacrifice personally to preserve it. Why such loyalty? Because Mitchell sees what's happening. The Fever aren't the league's doormat anymore. They're the storm. With Clark's star power, Boston's inside dominance, Hall's relentless grit, and Mitchell's lethal scoring. This isn't just a team, it's a movement, and it's not about this year or the next. It's about building a culture that will outlast any one player. Mitchell knows it, and she's sending a message to the league. Indiana isn't going anywhere.
Look, you guys have been plagued with injuries, including to Caitlin, but you have the best sideline in the league, I feel like, right now. What does it mean to get that support during the postseason from the crew?
Oh, man, it's unbelievable. And I think the best part about it is that we have vet experience when it comes to Sydney Colson, and she's a winner and she's a champion. And then you have people like Caitlin, who's a PG and can pass the ball. And so when I come on the sideline, I get feedback from some of the best players in the league. And so I don't take those moments for granted either, because I feel like it's a chance to see the game in a different route, and I get to talk to them from a level of just them having confidence in me to make plays. So I love it. It's a good experience to have.
Some cynics will laugh at the idea that friendship could be the foundation of a dynasty, but the results speak louder than cynicism. Mitchell believes in it. Clark fuels it. Boston anchors it. Hall embodies it. Together, they've taken a franchise long synonymous with futility and turned it into must-watch TV. The Fever don't just want respect anymore. They demand it, and they're earning it every night. Mitchell's comments weren't just a pat on the back for Caitlin Clark. They were a manifesto. She essentially said, "Clark has changed everything, and I'm here for it." There was no jealousy, no bitterness, no insecurity, just gratitude, motivation, and solidarity. That's rare in pro sports, and it's exactly why Indiana feels so different right now. And here's where Sheryl Swoopes comes in. While Mitchell builds bridges, Swoopes tears them down. She spends her interviews casting doubt on Clark's stardom, dismissing her impact as hype and fueling unnecessary division. But Mitchell's words expose the hypocrisy. If a veteran like Kelsey, who had every reason to feel overshadowed, isn't bitter, why is Swoopes? Why is one of the game's legends so invested in diminishing Clark instead of celebrating what she's doing for the sport? That's the uncomfortable question Mitchell's statement just forced onto the table. The bottom line is this. Kelsey Mitchell didn't just defend Caitlin Clark. She aligned with her. She embraced her. She validated her. And in doing so, she issued a challenge to the league's old guard. Either recognize what's happening in Indiana or get left behind. Because if Mitchell, Clark, Boston, and Hull remain united, the WNBA isn't just facing a contender. It's staring at a dynasty in the making. And Sheryl Swoopes, with all her bitterness, is already on the wrong side of history. Do you stand with Kelsey? Let us know down in the comments below. Like, subscribe, and turn on all notifications so you never miss out. Click the video on the screen and we will see you in the next.